People Just Do Nothing is a British mockumentary TV show that I'm a big fan of. I've made a video about it before and it's a series that I definitely recommend. The show became a pretty big thing and established a sizable fan base, causing the actors to do live appearances and shows in character, and there's even a film on the way titled People Just Do Nothing Big in Japan. It's definitely one of my favourite modern comedies. But a successful TV series, a film, live shows, these things got the attention of some people who saw a potential to make money, specifically dollars of the American persuasion, as in 2018, just as the final series of the show was about to air, it was announced that Amazon Studios had commissioned a pilot episode for an American remake of People Just Do Nothing. Yep, really. This made somewhat big headlines with predictable backlash as you'd obviously expect, and left me, if nothing else, intrigued at the idea of trying to Americanise a show that so heavily revolves around some very British things. So I eagerly anticipated the release of the show, but it never came. And at the start of 2020, after over a year of complete silence about the project, it was quietly announced that the American People Just Do Nothing remake had been axed, leaving the few of us that wanted to watch it for curiosity's sake out of luck. No footage or images from this failed pilot were ever officially released, and it was essentially just brushed under the carpet. Then earlier this year, on a seemingly unrelated note, out of boredom I decided to watch the film Inkheart, mostly because of the fact that it stars Matt King, aka Superhands, in one of his more notable roles outside of Peep Show, and while watching it I was like, hey, who's that girl again? I recognised Elisa Bennett, but I didn't really know where from. Turns out it was from Nanny McPhee, by the way. But I decided to look her up on IMDb, and what do I see? People Just Do Nothing 2019. This British woman is apparently in the American People Just Do Nothing remake? Interesting. And that made me do some more research into it. Turns out casting details were already somewhat publicised, and there were some general details about the premise that had been revealed, but then I thought, this situation seems pretty similar to that of when I was trying to research the second American Peep Show pilot.
I'm sorry, did you say what?
An Americanised pilot of a British show that was never released, but we do have a partial cast list and some general details about the production. And after some sleuthing into that second American Peep Show attempt, I was able to track down, compile and share a pretty significant amount of footage from a previously unseen pilot that mostly been lost to time. Could the same be done with this People Just Do Nothing remake too? Well, actually, somewhat yes. And so I present to you today a look into the cancelled American remake of People Just Do Nothing.
Yeah, we play music you didn't even know you liked until we play it, and all of a sudden you're dancing. It's like, boom, got you.
I've only managed to uncover about 3 minutes of footage of this previously unseen show, and as a result, I'm not going to be doing some super analytical scene-by-scene breakdown like I've normally done with things like this in the past. Rather, I'd just like to share what I've managed to find after doing my research as a big information dump and playing my Uno reverse card. You do the analysis for once. The footage is, as always, pinned at the top of the comments. Oh, and I guess I should say, the show is not technically called People Just Do Nothing. Here's a picture of the script. As you can see on there it says Untitled Mehar Sethi Project, as he was the writer. It was directed by Christopher Storer for Amazon and Rough Cut TV, the production company that made the original show. People Just Do Nothing centres around Corrupt FM, a pirate radio station based out of Brentford in West London. They DJ primarily UK garage and drum and bass music and are led by MC Grinder. This version focuses on Wet Desert, yes, with a H, who are a party promotion / DJ crew based out of North Las Vegas, Nevada. They DJ trap house music and are led by Coyote, played by Jorge Diaz.
It's me that did that.
However, Coyote is a DJ, not an MC, and in fact Wet Desert does not seem to include anyone other than DJs, so that's a bit different to the original version, as the DJ-MC dynamic was a consistent staple of the show. Mish, Grinder's girlfriend, is now Crystal. They have a young daughter too, though I have no idea if she's named Angel or not. Elisa Bennett, the British woman I mentioned earlier, is the one who plays Crystal.
I mean, of course it's amazing to live with, the most famous trap house DJ in all of North Vegas.
I think she does a pretty decent job of the accent, though American people would have a bare ear for that, so let me know what you think. They live together in what appears to be a huge, nicely furbished house, although we do get a segment in which Crystal is shopping, which I think is supposed to be implying they're not exactly rich, just like the start of People Just Do Nothing.
It was actually, incredibly romantic. We met on Tinder.
I was just sort of, walking along and he shouted something at me from a van.
I don't know what quite to make of them, as in multiple parts here we see their family all playing around together, like there's a bit where the daughter puts lipstick on Coyote and he films Crystal and the daughter playing, which are very un-Grinder-like things to do. To be honest, Coyote's whole demeanour is completely unlike Grinder's. He seems pretty tame and reserved in comparison, and feels essentially like a completely different character.
Like how the Jews, how they brought all that sand together to make the pyramids?
lots of pseudo-hippie-like dialogue and wannabe deep statements. It gives the show a very different feel to the original, even though the premises are at least superficially similar.
All the hottest people party with us. We got Instagram models, content creators, fucking bartenders.
Oh, and they also recreated that heaven photo from People Just Do Nothing too.
The kind of concept behind it was that we're in heaven.
This is Beats, played by Andre Highland. He's also a DJ, and yes, he's actually named Beats. They didn't rename him to Mountain Lion or anything. They definitely play up the druggy angle much more with him in comparison to the original Beats. Not only just in appearance, but also in the admittedly small amount of lines I have access to.
Proof is in the pudding. Plus all that Molly.
Lots of talk of Molly, for example. Plus he's always got this tweaker-like movement going on. At least at the start of People Just Do Nothing, Beats had this lovable, idiot, bumbling sidekick thing going on. That definitely doesn't seem to be the case with this character. He is, again, very unlike the character from which he's derived from. Decoy, the quiet and reserved DJ of Corrupt FM, is a little different in this version. Well, more than a little. Although the character is still a DJ and is still named Decoy, we have a gender swap on our hands. A little unexpected, I know. She's played by Shaniqua Shandia.
The real scene's always been underground. It was the same way with jazz, hip-hop, punk.
Well, to be honest, outside of the name and occupations being the same, the characters don't really seem to be very similar at all. This Decoy is for sure not willing to stay quiet in the background and let the other guys talk for her. The joke from the original, in which the boys would always claim that Decoy was Jamaican and a Rasta to try and make him seem cooler, is also somewhat reused here, though now they claim she's from Detroit. She also vapes a lot.
If anyone gets his Decoy here, this girl's from Detroit.
I'm from Grosse Pointe.
Steve's is an interesting one, played by Connor McVicker. He is hardly present at all in any of the footage I have. That's him in the background there. He's also not called Steve's, but Brody. He is a drug-addled former skater with terrible memory and great hair, according to reports about the casting. I don't know whether the fact that he's shown so little in the footage I have is a complete coincidence or something, but it's strange to see this amount of footage without him. It certainly seems to be a pretty different take on the Steve's role too, given the completely different backstory and image. Chabuddy is no more, but is now Farouk, played by Amir Talai. Carrying on Chabuddy's off-the-wall money-making schemes and various occupations, we see here that he owns Farouk's Fish Meats, and at one point is also seen holding a wedding ceremony inside of a warehouse. Like Steve's, or I guess Brody, I have no video of him speaking, though he's described as a fast-talking huckster and owner of a local auto body shop. There's some more characters too, but I'll get onto them later. As for some comments I have, firstly, there's something interesting that I'd like to talk about. So many people may know that People Just Do Nothing has a big link to social media. The original skits and webisodes that led to the show were initially spread on social media, and still to this day, the main actors from the show post on social media accounts in character as their personas from the show. It's a nice, fun way of making the characters seem a bit more genuine and provides another outlet for comedy. Not to be outdone, however, this American version also tried to incorporate this idea.
Family, a brand, a philosophy, a hashtag.
However, as the show has never been released, you get this interesting time capsule-y look into the show's attempt at the same idea. If you go on Instagram and search for the hashtag #WetDesert with a H, the in-universe group's name, there are a few results, like some posts by Shaniqua, who played Decoy, posting on her personal account. But go back a bit further and there are a number of photos by an account named Wet Desert Brody from November the 3rd, 2018 at the earliest. The more eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed something wrong here though. The guy posting as Brody is not Connor McVicker, the guy that'd eventually play him, nor is it Andre Highland who played Beats, even though they do look somewhat alike. This is actually someone named Matthew Pescio, an actor who, as far as I'm aware, does not feature in this American People Just Do Nothing remake in any capacity. It seems the casting of this role, and maybe of other ones too, may have changed at one point, but they never bothered to either remove or redo some of the social media stuff. There's also a Wet Desert logo on Instagram, one that I put up a few times in this video, and it's completely different to anything that they eventually ended up using in the show. Also, notice at this point, Brody looked much more like the original Steve's, with the hat and everything. Yet once the role was played by another guy, the character was styled completely differently. Was the pilot at one point very different? Were there multiple iterations of this attempt to recreate People Just Do Nothing? I literally have two questions.
Cause who throws the hottest parties in all North Vegas?
Wet Desert have an Instagram account of their own, which posted pretty regularly around the time that this was being shot, late 2018. It also posted a single picture of Coyote and Beats in December of 2019, around the time that it was announced that this project would not be continuing. The various Wet Desert social media posts are not very good, to be honest. If they're indicative of the level of comedy in the show, I'm not surprised it never went anywhere. When you realise it's Friday. Wow, what a masterpiece. I then did some more sleuthing onto the show and social media and actually managed to find quite a lot of stuff. Not in character content, but behind the scenes stuff from those involved. Here's a picture with the main cast's headshots on a wall. Coyote, Crystal, Beats, Brody, Decoy, Farouk, the daughter shown at the bottom. Then there's 5 more characters. Aldonna, Felix, Nathan, something, and something. Aldonna is following in the footsteps of the original, presumably involved with Farouk somehow. That's her on the right, I think, played by Isabella Miko. Felix, played by Brandon Kyle Goodman, not a clue. This character has no comparable role in People Just Do Nothing. There was a short clip of what I assume to be this guy kissing a man with a pixelated face in one of the bits of the footage I have. No idea what this would be for, as nothing like this happens in the original series. Maybe he's minor character DJ Fantasy's American adaptation? I honestly have no idea. Nathan, played by Romel da Silva, is the show's version of Craig, Roche's and I guess Beats' son. This guy posts a lot on social media, and his posts helped out quite a bit when researching the show, so thanks, I guess. He has a VR headset on at one point in the show, but his photos also show an outing with a lot of other actors, though I don't know whether that was actually something that was being shot or was just for cast bonding or something. So those other 2 somethings on the wall, who could they be? Well, one is, I think, supposed to be the Roche role, so Beats' girlfriend and Nathan's mother. I believe the woman at the bottom is an actress named Regina Fernandez, someone not listed on the IMDb page for this project, but who is tagged in various social media posts by the cast. And the woman on that far right photo is Challen Cates, apparently playing a character named Tonya. One of these women is presumably the American version of Roche. A guess you could make is that Tonya is supposed to be the American version of Tanya, Misha's boss in People Just Do Nothing, as in the lady played by Tiff Stevenson who runs the salon that Mish works at. That would leave the other woman to be Roche. That's my educated guess, leaning more heavily on the guess aspect rather than the educated one though.
Learning education.
I will say that I really didn't find any of the video footage funny, like, at all. It's filmed in the mockumentary style and takes a lot of inspiration from the original show, of course, but it just really didn't seem, to be honest, very good. It just feels, more than anything, artificial and forced.
It's like nothing.
The original worked so well because it was, at first anyway, a passion project for a group of friends who had all developed the show together. They all made their characters, wrote scripts, had the show set in a location that was specific to them, and so on. It made the show feel genuine. There was a sense that there was a little bit of the actors inside the characters. Here, it's just like any other TV show. It just doesn't compare. That's not really the actors' fault though, but more so the fault of the script and the general concept. This isn't the kind of show that translates easily into another context. Some moments are pretty bad though, I will admit, like every time they do the wet desert W hand sign thing like Corrupt used to do with the K's.
What desert? Get him up! Get him up! Get him up! What desert?
And the decision to end the scene by cutting to black and start blaring a shitty Skrillex track was terrible.
You need somewhere to do it.
Yo, Skrill, drop it hard.
But you know, overall, it's not the kind of thing that really draws me in, especially with so little footage available and so little information to go on. Unlike that American Peep Show pilot that I unearthed, this episode doesn't seem to follow the structure of any existing People Just Do Nothing episodes, at least that I can be sure of, and thus it's hard to really piece together the clips in any meaningful way, especially one clip of some character walking around with a helmet on. I haven't got a clue what that's supposed to be about. As I said, feel free to comb through this yourself, maybe you'll find something interesting to talk about, or you may be able to research more about the project as a whole and find some more content, but I don't really have much more to say about it, so I won't.